Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. I was just thinking, you always hear me talk about the problems in the United States. When they have problems, it kind of goes all over. And it's funny because here in Guatemala, we have the same problems that you have in the United States. It's much more obvious. I mean, in the United States, it seems like if it's not in your face, we just don't care. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to us. They can make laws, they can do whatever they want to do, and people just don't care. I think what it is, like I say, they're in debt. They got their watching TV. Their focus is on all kinds of stuff, and not on the realities of life. And down here, they do. Life is a reality down here. If you get sick, the reality is you're really sick. The reality is you're probably going to die. There's a lot of reality down here, so they have to face the reality. And it's funny when this reality comes to them, they see it as reality, and they protest, or they try to raise their voices and stuff like that. It doesn't do any good. I say a good example is, like I say, they got gun control, so they don't have guns. And you think, well, what do you need a gun for? Well, when people get tired of listening to you bitch, they come out and they shoot you. That's what they do down here. That's kind of obvious. Okay, now in the United States, they come up with these laws. These politicians don't want to hear you bitch, so what they do, they come up with these laws like you can't protest within so many, hundreds of feet from them, or thousands of feet, whatever it is, and you have to get a permit. And who's going to give you the permit? It's going to be the government people, the ones that are going to be having to listen to your protesting. So they're not going to give you a permit to do it outside their window. They're going to give you a permit to do it down the road, it's stuff like this. So, and if you don't do like you're supposed to with the permit, they're going to come get you and arrest you, and they're going to start making your life miserable. I mean, it's a system that they've got going and they've got control of. It's not like down here, where they just shoot you. They don't do that in the United States, so then we just don't think about it so much. It's funny, and so that's what I'm saying. It's obvious. Everything down here is obvious. I had a guy from Colorado, and he was telling me about how he's going to have some water stored, and and I'm not a big fan on storing water. I mean, storing water, it's you have to know what you're doing. So I was trying to ask him, well, what's the big deal about the storing the water? And he said, well, in Colorado, the government owns the water. Okay, what we talk about? Things are obvious down here. Okay, down here, yes, the government owns the water. And so you get the water that the government allows you to have. You have to have a permit for a water well. And in other words, they control how much water you're going to get. And it was funny because I'm from Oklahoma, and now they're talking about, well, the generosity of the state. They're gonna give you, at no charge, they're gonna give you a meter to put on your water well, because in Oklahoma we have water wells. We don't have a lot of rivers and lakes, so we have to use water wells. A lot of people own water wells, especially if you're farmers and stuff like that. You need water. So we're right back to the same thing. They want control of the water. So far, Oklahoma doesn't own the water so far. And these city people, I'm sure they're stupid enough, they're going to say, oh yeah, we need to know how much water these country folk are using. So, yeah, I mean, so they're probably going to pass the law and all this stuff, and nobody's going to be able to do anything about it. It's just the way things are screwed up. But I'll tell you, the funniest thing was just the other day. Well, you know, I already told you about, I got mixed up with some union thugs, and I told you the story about that. But the thing was, that was the first time I've ever been involved with. I've never had people forcing me to do a certain thing. You know, I mean, force is one of these things. After Vietnam, I don't go along well with force. And that's why I'm big on defense, self-defense. I don't allow anybody to use force on me at any level. And so it was funny when the thugs started getting it. Well, I was telling that story to somebody, and they said, well, you know what that was all about? And I go, well, just union thugs is all I know. And they said, well, no, what it is, here in Guatemala, they're trying to pass a law now where the government owns the seed of food. The government wants to own the seed for your food. They have plenty of food down here. They got plenty of food. And the weather is set up for food. So, I mean, they can grow a lot of food. So, so what they're doing is the government wants to own the seed. And so I thought, well, that's what the protesters were all about, you know, and they don't want to own the seed. And they said, no, the protesters, they want the government to own the seed. Wait a minute, I'm going to need to do some thinking on this. Okay, what it was, the protesters were union, and they were farm worker union, and they work for Monsanto. Monsanto, huh? Does that ring a bell in the United States? Okay, Monsanto is a new thing down here. And so Monsanto pays these union workers to protest and to do all this kind of stuff. And how do they get away with it? They work, the Monsanto and government officials work together. What do we talk about? I talk about how big business and government is bad and evil, and they work together. Just a fine example of it. Monsanto and the government working together, making a law where you have to buy Monsanto seed. In other words, these people look at it like the government wants to own the seed. You know, even though that's not really what they're doing, it's Monsanto, but their simple minds can't grasp the idea that a company can come in and take over people's lives. They can't grasp that idea. So that's why they look at it as the government, because they know the government, they can't do it without the government's support. So government supports Monsanto. And Monsanto supports the union workers. And now they pay them to go to farms that don't have union workers, and let's start a union in this farm. Okay, and if they don't go along with it, Well, then they can put the pressure on the farm about where do you get your seed. In other words, only union farms will be able to get seed to grow anything. So if you're not a union farm, you're not going to have any seed, you're not going to have a farm. Isn't that wild? How the government and big business can work together to screw the people. They give them unhealthy food, so they'll be sick. And down here, the government, hey, they give you free health care. Hey, wow. Now let me see. The health system, you get involved with the health system, you're going to die. If you get sick, you're going to die. The food they're going to give you is going to be poor food, poor quality food. So you're going to get sick, so you're going to die. How this makes any sense at all, I don't know. But like I said, it's obvious here in Guatemala. This is Mike, NoStressMike.com.